This is an M1 Mac Mini, and I think most of us would agree that it's one of the best deals that you can find in all of computing, essentially. But I think we'd also agree it's a little boring. This design has been around for more or less a decade, and I mean, it's fine. What more could you want? It's a little square that sits on your desk. But this is the Luke Miana YouTube channel. And so if you think I'm just gonna sit here content with this, well, no, not even close. Today's video is sponsored by Pulseway. Imagine having the power to remotely control any of your systems wherever you are. Walking the dog, grocery shopping, on a date, or out hiking, Pulseway has got you covered. Pulseway's all-in-one IT monitoring and management system can turn you into the ultimate one-person IT hero. Troubleshoot, remotely manage, run scripts, or simply send commands to any of your systems from the device closest to you. You don't need to pack all your laptops and servers on any road trips anymore. Simply install Pulseway and have the time of your life while having complete control over all IT systems. And the best part, you can try it free by checking out the link in the description below. There's no credit card or other commitment required. You just have to try Pulseway today and step your IT game up. So, a big thanks to them for sponsoring, and now let's get back into the video. So, as you might be able to guess, when my mind comes up with a little idea of saying, hey, Mac Mini inside a Wii, there is very little that I am physically capable of doing that would prevent me from just trying it. Now, that's not to say that it's a bad idea, because, I mean, when you look at these two things, they are kind of similar. Sure, the Mac Mini is a little bit taller, but the width is about the same, the thickness is about the same, and one of my favorite things about the Wii is that it has these trap doors on top where you can plug in your controllers. So wouldn't it be nice if you put the rear I/O of the Mac Mini right over here, and then you could just use the I/O, and if you don't need it, you could close it up. How perfect would that be? So what more do you want? I mean, they're shaped kind of the same. The Mac Mini is a little taller, so maybe some stuff's not gonna fit, but when has that stopped me? So yeah, let's do this thing. First step, well, we gotta tear down this Wii to see if this is even physically possible. Fortunately, when you actually take all the guts out of a Wii, the case fits back together pretty easily, which means that we should be able to screw everything together with a Mac Mini inside instead. The Mac Mini, for its part, is very, very simple. With just about a dozen screws holding this entire device together, iFixit's electronics repair bundle, which happens to be on sale through all of November, has everything you need. From the T6 and T8 screw bits to picks and spudgers that definitely help in some of those hard to reach areas. iFixit is a longtime sponsor of the channel, and I use their stuff every day. So now with the Mac Mini torn down, the parts list includes the shell, the plastic bottom cover, the metal antenna plate, the logic board itself, the power supply, and the fan. So to fit the guts of the Mac Mini inside the Wii enclosure, we're going to need to make some modifications. There's just no way we're going to fit this massive power supply and bulky fan inside the tiny Wii enclosure. With this in mind, I can assemble a list of requirements. First, we're going to need a smaller fan to keep temperatures from getting too high. Second, I'm going to need to make a new power supply. Third, I decided it would be a good idea to run HDMI out the back of the Wii, because having to plug it in from the top defeats the purpose of using the controller covers to hide the ports. And with those requirements in mind, I started making some modifications to the case. First, the coin cell battery tray had to be glued down so it wouldn't fall out all the time. Next, I needed to fix the mechanisms that allow the controller doors to stay shut, because those are on an internal frame that we removed. So I used some snipping tools to trim down these tiny clips that screwed back into their original holes and let the doors shut. Next, I had to grind away the top of the case where the controller ports are molded out of the plastic to make room for the Mac Mini's I/O. So with the case modded, it was now time to figure out a solution for our power supply. Now fortunately, I benefited from working with Quinn from Snazzy Labs, who already modded his Mac Mini and provided the pinouts for the power supply connection. So we opened up the Mac Mini's dramatically unnecessary 150 watt power supply so we could isolate the connector. After double checking everything with a multimeter, here's what we came up with. 6 of the wires, bundled in green, are the positive 12 volt line, and the black is our ground. And then there are a couple more wires that are not connected to anything, so they don't really need to be hooked up at all. We hooked this contraption up to a buck converter and checked if the system worked, and surprisingly it did. So now we gotta figure out how to power the thing. Initially, I wanted to use USB-C to make things easier. This is literally just coming off of 2 alligator clips directly into a PD board. Oh man. But while it did power on, there were issues with voltage and getting a clean signal, plus we wanted to keep the Wii look as stock as possible, so I had an idea. We already had the Wii power socket that we pulled off the board, so why not just use that? The Wii power supply is 12 volts at 53 watts, so under most cases it should have enough power to run a humble Mac Mini, right? Well, with the Wii PSU plugged into the Wii socket, wired up to a buck converter, wired up to the Mac Mini's wiring harness, it powered on. But there was a problem. 53 watts wasn't enough for the Mac Mini to be happy under peak load, so it was throttling its performance very heavily. So instead, I snipped the end of the Wii charger off and wired it up to a Microsoft Surface charger with plenty of wattage for us to use. Alright, I'm really excited about this because I am now at the point in this project where I've got the power delivery system more or less figured out. So a couple of things have changed. Number one, I ended up getting a buck converter that has some pretty big heat sinks on it. That's going to help with some of the issues that I had with the old ones that got really hot. And another issue that I was also having was the Mac Mini was getting really hot because we don't have room for its original cooling fan. So the solution to that is I picked up this tiny little 12 volt fan, which happens to be the exact dimensions of the original cooling fan for the Wii. All of this is to say that we have created a beautiful monster. On this end here, we have a Surface charger, which I have spliced into the original power connector for the Wii. That connects over here to the buck converter, which fires up the 12 volt fan. That's on constantly, and it's gonna provide some airflow to hopefully keep things pretty cool. That then goes into the Mac Mini. We can power on the Mac Mini. There it goes. So now what we have to do is put all of this together. We have a modified Wii chassis, we have a modified power delivery solution, but we have to put all of these things together. So that meant learning how to 3D print a bracket to mount the Mac Mini inside the Wii. And this being my first time 3D printing, I will admit it took a fair amount of prototypes to get this working. But I finally settled on this design and I'm very happy with how it came out, because basically the holes on this square are designed to fit perfectly over the screw posts on the Wii housing. You don't need to screw them in or glue this thing down, it just fits with friction. Then there are 2 standoffs poking out of this thing which allow me to screw the Mac Mini logic board onto this guy. And they're positioned to take advantage of that ribbon cable you might have seen. Well, that is a very thin HDMI extension. So there's an L-shaped plug that plugs into the Mac Mini, and then we run the cable underneath this bracket and out the back of the Wii. And then finally, this bracket has a rectangular hole which allows me to fit a fan in there. Now granted, I did have to chop the top of the housing off to get it to actually fit in the case, but we do have some amount of cooling now. So in addition to printing that bottom bracket, I also printed this ingenious little guy. It doesn't look like much and it's not very well made because I'm not good at 3D printing. However, basically all you have to do is double side tape this down where the power socket should be, and it holds it in place without needing any glue or tape. So when you assemble the Wii together, you can plug stuff in and the power port will just stay where it is. I'm actually pretty happy with how that came out. I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but that was pretty cool. Okay, so now everything is assembled. Here we have the charger. Let's go ahead and plug that in. The fan starts up right away. We'll hit the power button here. There it goes. Nice. I have to say I'm really pleased with how this came out, but there is still one issue I would like to solve. If you look really closely, you'll notice that our connection really isn't very good. And that's because the Mac Mini has 3 antenna bands, 2 of which are on the logic board itself. But unfortunately, the 3rd antenna is on this metal bottom plate, and this just is not going to fit. Now, I could destroy this bottom plate and take the antenna out and plug it in here, but I kind of don't want to destroy this because I want to be able to reassemble the Mac Mini. So I have another plan. This is one of the original antennas from the Wii, and wouldn't you know it, the connector is exactly the same as what the Mac Mini uses. Can we improve the responsiveness of our Bluetooth accessories and increase the Wi-Fi speeds? Well, to find out, let's get a baseline reading. So before even starting the test, it's very apparent that the mouse is having trouble connecting over Bluetooth. It's jumping, it's stuttering. It's not even really usable in my opinion. Now, the Wi-Fi does work and it actually works fairly well. So we got 270 megabits per second download. However, when we plug in the antenna pulled from the Wii, things change dramatically. First of all, you can instantly tell the difference in responsiveness from the mouse and keyboard. It just works perfectly. And when we start the speed test, you can see that we're jumping up from 279 to well over 400 megabits per second. So with all this sorted out, we now have a fully operational Mac Mini inside a Wii housing. All we have to do is close this thing up and make it nice and polished. This is easily my favorite project that I've ever done on this channel. I'm absolutely blown away with how everything turned out here. I mean, normally when I do this type of project, it ends up being a little janky and, let's be honest, impractical. When I put a Mac Mini inside an iMac, it prevented you from using any of the ports. But this is like the most perfect, beautiful creation that I've ever come up with. We have power running through the original Wii power socket. We have an HDMI that comes out the back to maintain this slim Wii aesthetic. We even have full access to the ports with the doors on top. Everything works exactly as it should. It's beautiful, and I absolutely love it. Okay, but in all seriousness, the 2 things that I am most surprised about are the 2 things that I had to change away from stock: the power supply and the fan. Now, it's no secret that the M1 Mac Mini's 150 watt power supply and huge blower fan are complete overkill. You don't need that. But I'm very surprised at how well my substitutions have worked. This crazy contraption of the Surface charger wired to the Wii power port, wired to a buck converter, wired to the Mac Mini's wiring harness works flawlessly. I've had no issues with power delivery whatsoever. And the other thing that I'm really surprised about is that fan. You would imagine going from this big bulky fan with lots of airflow down to a tiny little static RPM 12-volt fan with half of its housing sawed off, that you'd probably miss out a lot in terms of thermals. But no. Now obviously the M1 chip doesn't produce a ton of heat, so you could just leave it fanless. But if you do that, what I noticed is very quickly temperatures are gonna climb all the way up to 100 degrees Celsius, at which point the system has to thermal throttle. And the result of that is you lose a decent chunk of your performance. However, this 12-volt fan, even though it's just providing a tiny little amount of airflow, it really goes a long way in keeping the system cool. And while it does get hotter than the stock fan would allow, it's not unreasonable. And if you take a look at these performance comparisons, you'll notice you're only losing a couple of percent going with this tiny little 12-volt fan versus the stock system. So I feel perfectly comfortable using this machine with this implementation. That's pretty crazy. So there you have it, a fully operational Mac Mini inside a Wii. It's not only one of the most awesome projects I've ever worked on, but it's also arguably pretty useful because Apple Silicon is really good at emulating older game consoles, especially the Wii. So of course I had to install Dolphin and hook this thing up to my TV and play some Mario Kart Wii on it. And oh my God, this is the moment that this whole project just clicked. Racing around some of my favorite Wii Mario Kart tracks while staring at the Wii that it would have originally run on, but it's running in 4K on a 75-inch 16:9 TV. That is honestly one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed. And it's not just Wii games either. I fired up Mario Kart Double Dash from the Gamecube. That runs perfectly. Additionally, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, that ran pretty darn well. Again, all of these are being upscaled to resolutions that you would never dream of playing those games on, and it looks like you're running it on a Wii. I can't stress that enough. But it's not just Nintendo games, because Apple Silicon also happens to be really good at emulating the PlayStation 2. So I fired up Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, one of my all-time favorites from back in the day, and soon enough I'm blasting around San Diego in a blue Golf R32 just like back in the mid-2000s. This is honestly one of the best things that I think you could do with a Mac Mini to turn it into a really cool retro gaming device that looks like a retro gaming console. And yeah, sure, you could just have the boring old Mac Mini on your TV stand and do all of this same stuff, but it's just a little bit more special when you're playing a Wii game while looking at a Wii. So this is like the best project ever. I absolutely loved it. I think it was a ton of fun. I learned soldering, I learned 3D printing, I bought a grinder, and I will leave links to all of the stuff that I used in today's video, from the iFixit guides to taking apart your Mac Mini, to the Protect toolkit that you can take it apart with. Shout out to iFixit for sponsoring. I'll leave links down below to the schematics for the 3D printed parts that I used in this build. Anything that I can think of, it's down there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had a ton of fun. I can't wait to do more fun stuff with Mac Minis and with you guys. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.